Ready, Johnny boy?
Right, I'm ever gonna do.
I know you're super excited, so we made you sit around here and wait for an hour or two. or two. And those who don't know, Johnny Wilson doesn't go by Johnny. I'm the only one who calls him that. And
You and my mother.
that's right.
You and my
It's
mother.
rare company.
It's my dad used to call me that when I was a kid. Typically when I was in trouble. So when I hear it from you, it's a little different.
Yeah, so you're not in trouble. But we did want to bring you down here and talk a little bit about what you're doing for the dealership, because it's something you haven't always done. You've done a lot of different things. Sold cars, used car manager, closer. I don't know what you did that I don't know about. But you're in the business of buying vehicles now.
Vehicle acquisitions is something that originally our previous general manager, Tony Smith, brought it to the table with Chris Bancroft. They came up with this idea that they had heard at other meetings or somewhere, I'm not sure where, and they kind of refined it for our area. And they had enough faith in me to let me take over about 20 months ago. And it wasn't so easy in the beginning. It was very difficult. It was something new.
Did you think they were crazy?
You're
like, I'm a car salesman, not a car buysman.
Yeah, it didn't seem right to me at all. But I was told to do it, so I did it. Just like I'm here right now. So, they basically what Chris told me was that I want you to go out there and do the exact same thing you do with customers selling cars, except I want you to go on a service drive and to get those cars. Sometimes they turn into car deals, more than not, hopefully, and it works out. We end up with the very best inventory we can get that way. We're able to pay more money for the car that way because now the car is in service. We can see it. We don't have to go blindly, make a bid on it online. We can put all the money into the car we normally wouldn't be able to, as far as transportation fees, the auction fees. The auction has their safety inspection. We don't have to pay that, so we can pass it on to the customer and get the car.
Yeah. So do you have a lot of people that are like, you're not really going to buy my car?
So
I remember posting something about it on Facebook, like, yeah, go see John about what, and everybody's like, you're not really going to buy a car. And I'm like, we would love to buy cars. Like,
it starts off 9 times out of 10. I'm not going to let you rip me off. You're not going to do this. I said, just let me give you an appraisal and make you an offer. It's good for 7 days. And if in 7 days you haven't sold to someone else, you have a backup offer. It doesn't always work out, but it works out way more than it does.
Yeah. So we know, but tell the people who aren't in the car business kind of why the vehicle acquisition side kind of came about. You touched on a little bit with auction fees, not knowing what you're buying. If a car hasn't been in our shop, we essentially take our best guess. We don't have the luxury of putting it through our shop every time to make an offer.
The biggest point of going to the auction is to sell the problems you don't want for your customer. So if you're going to go there and buy those problems and bring them back, not only do you have to pay more to get those because everyone's there trying to get it. Everyone's got their hand in the air and then trying to obtain inventory. Now you got to pay more to get it. You got to bring it back. It costs more money to recondition it, to sell it. And sometimes you buy a car you can't recondition enough. Now you send it back to the auction, resell it, and lose more money.
Done that a couple times. We had Gibby on here a couple weeks ago. We were telling stories about sending cars to the auction and trying to get people to pay too much money. And you kind of laugh at how terrible that was back then. But that's exactly what hey, I'm trying to sell this car, and you have your buddy go over there and raise his hand a couple times, get you a couple extra $100,
When I was when Mr. Findlay owned the Honda store in Kingman, I was there, and I knew who Gib was, but I didn't know Gib. And him and I were bidding on the same car for my store. Troy had him trying to get some cars, and I ended up getting the car, and I felt really victorious, only to find I paid more than I had to because Gib was there buying for me. I didn't know that. So, one of the
told you guys he was a legend. How many cars do you buy a month? I can't imagine that many people are just able to sell a car, right?
So
what's the most you've ever bought?
More than just buying. So they turn into car deals as well, but total, I try to hit somewhere between 25 and 28 units a month between purchasing, turning them into car deals, lease returns, that kind of stuff.
All right. And so there's a lot of confusion, I think, too, in terms of car values. We used to tell the joke that Kelly Blue Book's not going to write a check for your car, right? But Findlay Motor Company will.
The crazy thing is there's a tool that we use quite a bit. It's Kelly Blue Book ICO. And we actually end up paying all the money for those cars because Kelly Blue Book does some of the advertising for us. And then people call, but every other dealership's calling them too. And everyone is still stuck on the mindset of, we'll get it for less than that. Well, I've been instructed just to pay the money, get the car. If it's a car that's worth selling and worth having on the lot, just pay all the money and get it here. So with that being said, we typically spend 10 to 12% more than we would go into auction, but we end up with a far better product. I think our average inventory now, it used to be, you remember when you were doing it, and back when I first started doing it, our average cars we'd pick up as used car managers had what, 60, 70,000, maybe more miles on them.
Right.
These cars, if you look at our average inventory now, have 15, 20,000 miles on them, which is what our customers want.
Right. Yeah. So if you want to sell your car, for one, I've actually seen over the years a lot of scenarios why people want to sell their car. But if you actually want to sell your car to us, how do they do it?
So there's a couple of ways. You can either just come to the dealership and start the process that way. You can call, or you can go onto the ICO lead, but the easiest way is to go onto our website, findlayaz.com. There's a tab on there to value your trade. I get that information. I put a process together. I reach out to you. And then once I do that, then we either schedule an appointment to have you come in. I'd like to see you at the lot on the Parkway, but we have the access to the lot here in Fort Mojave as well. There's 2 locations. We do a live appraisal where we touch the car and go over it, gather all the information we can to make sure we pay as much money as reasonably we can for the car and make the customer happy and she'll obtain her vehicle. And then if you have a title in hand, typically we can have a check in your hand Monday through Friday before 4 p.m. Girls go home at 4. So before that time, it takes about 35 minutes.
So you going in there about 3:50, they're pumped, right?
Yeah, Danielle loves it. She has no problem staying out.
Yeah. So I would like to know, do you ever come across people who are like, oh, I'm going to sell it on Marketplace, and then they come back because Marketplace is a complete nightmare?
I have had that, and then I make sure I find that car Marketplace and call them. So, typically, the 7-day process works out best because I give them a number. Now they can go do that. They can put on Craigslist, Marketplace, and then have all the people call them up, wants to trade their 10-speed and a pack of gum and make payments on the difference, whatever it is, or they can come back and get a check in hand and be done.
Yeah. Marketplace, I always joke about it, but it's no secret. Everybody thinks we charge too much for cars, right? But we also never give them enough for their car. We never whatever enough for the car. And then you go on Marketplace and people be like a $5,000, 300,000 mile truck, and they're asking 15 grand for it. We're the crazy people, right?
You got
there's no regulation on Marketplace, right?
It's only been flooded once. It's only been in 4 accidents.
It was in that frozen Detroit water main break.
There is the thought process out there. People still have a fear of trusting certain entities in our world, car dealers, attorneys, and that's left over from another era. Everything's very transparent. We have access to the same information that they have access to. They can see everything we're seeing at the same time. It's like buying stock. You can pay a certain amount for the stock. Everyone can buy it for the same fee. Why not come to us and make it easier? It's convenient.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that died as the internet grew into the car business. We were probably late to the internet party. But would you say that the internet was kind of what leveled that 100%. Playing field? Obviously, we joked about it before, you had a little magic blue book that nobody knew the information to. And now everyone's a button click away from having the same information you have.
He removed that magic curtain that hid everything, So I only came into the car business in 05. 05, I think that 90% of that was gone by then. But when I started in the car business.
Yeah, but you probably worked with some guys who had been there for 20 years.
Yeah. Most of them are retired.
Then you realized why it was like that. We won't say any names. We won't get anybody mad today.
Yeah, they saw vehicles with blue ovals on them, not when I started in Kingman, there was a group of those guys that you talked about from the old school that I started with. And there was a bunch of younger guys. And actually, Chris was my boss there. And
you just can't escape him.
I can't. He follows me everywhere. He's attracted to me. So anyway, he helped guide me. But I had a lot of people in that, our used car director, Anthony, their dog, he instructed me tremendously. Hank and Troy Nolte, the owners, they showed me the good and the bad. And
there's 2 ways to learn.
Yeah. Hank said, give me.
You learn what not to do or what to do. And
Exactly.
Sometimes they come from the same place.
So I had some really good instruction along the way. When I very first started, the Chevy store up in Kingman is where I started out selling cars, and I got to go to the Honda store very quickly as a used car manager. I was promoted way too early. I didn't know what I was doing, but luckily, like Anthony and Chris and a couple other people, Gib, after I stopped competing against him for my own cars.
So you said you bought as many as, are those typically out of the service drive or people calling through? I know we see the leads through the internet sometimes. Where are those coming from? And you said a lot of them do buy cars. Some people just don't drive anymore. They have extra cars. What
They do.
Where do
So
these cars come from?
there's some unfortunate situations where somebody loses a spouse. They want to sell a vehicle.
So think of that.
We have people that are downside. They have 2 or 3 cars. They want to get rid of one. I try to talk about trading 3 for 1, but we have people that are in a situation they need money. So they come from all over. But realistically, if I had to put a number on it, I think we probably do 30% of our service drive. Those are our customers that we already have captive in the service drive that I can take a little bit longer and make sure I do a good thorough to make sure we give them the most money. We do about 1/3 of them from organically in the community, and then the rest from that ICO lead.
So you had mentioned having a title, getting a check within a very short period of time. What if there's a payoff on the vehicle? Is that still doable?
We have a process for that too. So we can't release the check until we have a title, but we have a very quick system that gets expedited. So if you came in and want to sell us your truck today, I would call and get a payoff on it. You and I would do that together, so we both have the same number. We've already agreed to pay you a certain amount for the truck, whatever the difference between the two is. We send that off. Some banks are electronic, some still require a paper check, but as soon as that title is released to us, which we've done electronically, then we can cut your check and hand it right to you. So some cases, it could be 7 to 10 days. Some credit unions might take a little longer.
So it's still a pretty quick process. And obviously if you have a payoff, that's understandable.
If you had a payoff and you want to sell your car yourself, I don't know too many people who come pay you all the money for your car and trust you to give them a title when you receive it.
We trust everybody. You trust them, right?
No.
Just with your money, not my money.
Not on Marketplace.
Yeah, not on Marketplace. So now obviously you sold cars for a long time. Is it kind of the same thing from the other side, or did you like selling cars better? Do you have a preference?
So everybody in the dealership that works anything around sales, everyone sells cars regardless of what side of the deal you're on. But the difference right now is I have a lot more freedom to do things I didn't have as a salesman. Selling cars is very structured. You meet a customer, you bring them in, you find out what their wants and needs are, and you do your best to accommodate that within the confines of what the system will allow. My job is a lot easier now, which I didn't realize in the beginning. I have the freedom to still make that friend, still make that connection, but I have the ability to do something for them in reverse and giving them something now.
Yeah.
And people like that.
Yeah, it's I do see the comments on Facebook. Obviously, I spend a lot of time on our social media, but where people don't believe that we'll actually buy their car, and then we got giant signs up at every building, and people still don't believe we'll buy their car.
Oh, they're on the corners, on the parkway, they're on the buildings. I believe I probably can't get it out. There's something going to happen here pretty quick. So, something big.
We got breaking news.
Not yet.
Oh, okay. We got top
I haven't
secret
been.
news.
I haven't been authorized to talk about it.
Well, we managed to get you on a show to talk about it. What's some of the hardest things you come across? Is the hardest thing you deal with agreeing on the dollar amount, or what is the hardest thing that you typically come across when people are trying to sell their car? Obviously, somebody doesn't want to sell their car. It's not really relevant.
The biggest problem is when somebody has an emotional connection to it, and it's not just the car, and then breaking that bond.
Yeah. It's got to be tough as a spouse's car and they passed away. Or
once it's done, people generally are relieved. It's just getting to that point.
Yeah. How's that go?
We have a SSR on the lot right now that the wife is not in a position to be able to drive any longer. The husband right now, so because she could not emotionally or physically make it down there to do it.
Dude, so, we're not the young guys in the business anymore. I don't know if you know that or not. We took in this SSR, right? And if you don't know what an SSR is, it's a little roadster pickup, V8, really cool, hardtop convertible. It's just a really cool
400
car.
horsepower.
400 horsepower. It's
29,000 miles.
It's a super,
It's on the
silver,
lot for sale now.
silver on a lot for sale now.
Yeah.
We'll dub a picture in. I hear some of the young guys being like, "What is this thing? Oh, that thing!" And they do it with like old Corvettes or Camaros too. And I'm like geeked out. I'm like, I love these things. These are awesome.
I know a guy once that bought a convertible white Camaro that's in one curve. Some of us thought it was really cool. Some of us said, "What the heck is that thing?"
Yeah. That guy still thinks that was cool.
It was a cool car.
Yeah.
I still have mine.
Yeah. I should have kept mine. I really screwed that up. That car was super cool, and I thought Benjamin would drive it. Then I ended up buying him a wildly different car anyway. But
Benjamin would have had a hard time fitting in that car, I think.
listen, the top came off, the big ass would have just kind of flowed out of it. You know what I mean? But imagine Benjamin's hair flowing in the convertible of that car.
The cowboy hat would have blown off.
Like that way I would have blown. So, it's crazy, Benjamin. And I will tell you guys, John has done, I think, every one of my car deals personally for like
Since about 2010, maybe 11.
even most of my ex-wives.
All of your ex-wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only have one ex-wife, just to be clear, but all of her car
All
purchases.
her car deals.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, when I tell you, John's my trusted source in the car business, I mean it. So if you are trying to sell something, John's the right guy to come see. You give me a better deal than my ex-wife, right?
Of course. Not really, bro.
Yeah. She's going to probably buy more cars than me over the next few years. So it's probably a better move to butter her up than me.
I just had a text
I knew it.
3 days ago.
I knew it. Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You asked me if I like this part better, and I really do. And I'll tell you, not only do I have the ability to start the deal, I can finish the deal. I can do everything start to finish except for getting that check. I don't have to wait on somebody else. I don't have to have the downtime. And it gives me the ability to have a lot more control over what I'm doing. And those not so smart people above me gave me control of the checkbook too. So I tend to buy some things.
Edit.
I tend to buy some things that, I don't know, orange roadsters,
Yeah.
lifted blue trucks with orange suspension.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and we'll buy almost anything, right? As long as it's not a junkyard piece.
If it has a title and we can buy it to the point where it makes sense for the dealership, we'll buy it. We stay away from salvage title, flooded titles, things like that. Even just to purchase them from the auction, we're not in that business. But if it's something that we can recondition and sell, we'll buy it.
Right. Yeah. So if people don't want to come in, obviously, I think everyone understands you actually need to have a hands-on appraisal to get a realistic figure, right? To get an
Correct.
honest figure.
Everyone says, give me a ballpark.
Right.
Well, Wrigley Field's in Chicago, I believe. But
Yeah.
other than that, we put together a very, very comprehensive appraisal. We give a Carfax, a recall report, a market value report analysis that comes in at takes the auction as well as what people are selling for on the street. And then my offer goes with that. And typically our offer is much better.
Yeah. Well, you can tell what kind of customer you're dealing with when you hit them with that Wrigley Field joke, right?
Most people,
If they don't take it well, you got to dial that back fast.
most people will see the humor.
Yeah.
So
I always hit them with you want like a little league field or what do you want? And then they don't think that's funny.
Yeah.
So,
some people don't have any humor at all when it comes to that.
something we got to remember that you and I are probably the worst about is we've done this for a long time. And sometimes people do this a couple times a lifetime. And so we're joking and lighthearted about this thing, and people are stressed out of their minds about buying or selling a car.
Matter of fact, I remember I had a talk once, and I didn't understand why it was a big deal. But the general manager we had when I first started, Ray Mine, he pulled me aside one day. He goes, "John, listen to me." He says, "You're going to try and sell a car a day, hopefully." He says, "So that's 5-6 cars a week, possibly, correct?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "That man you're dealing with buys a car once every 5 years." He says, "So what he learned 5 years ago has nothing to do with today, and you're talking to him like he's the guy next to you in the next desk. So don't do that."
Yeah.
So
I was very fortunate. I had similar input from Ray, TJ, I can't remember, probably Rob at some point, to quit using industry jargon.
Yeah.
Let me get a quick ACV on the LTD, on the DBZ.
They have no idea what you're talking
No
about.
idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like when I used to talk to my ex-wife about nursing stuff, and she'd talk about whatever abbreviation of 10 things I had no idea, and I would just be like, okay.
Nod your head. Sure.
Yeah, that was about the extent of it. So
no, there's definitely a different language for a lot of different professions, and we have our own.
yes, we do.
Okay.
We have our abbreviated stuff, and then we have our stuff that we can't say out loud. We have some very rough slang terms for crappy cars or other things. And
It used to be worse.
It used to be worse, yes. Car business has cleaned up quite a bit over the 20 years I've been involved in it. You say you started in 05?
05,
It's 20 years too.
It's coming up. I thought March, and I saw the other day, I actually started in June of 05, so it's coming up on 20 years in June. Yeah.
Is that a celebration or like 20 years?
I'm going to make Bancroft take me out to sushi.
Yeah, you definitely should. Do you have any other, kind of last minute things that people don't typically think about when they want to sell their car to be prepared for?
So people get on the internet and find all kinds of information. On the internet, you can find Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, whatever. If you want correct information.
All real, by the way.
Yeah, 100%. I saw it on TV. If they want to prepare in home, there's 3 things to do. You want to pay the money and pull a Carfax, $69.95. You want to invest in going on to Kelley Blue Book and getting a membership. You can do a one-time thing for $19.95, and then a recall report's free. Or you can save the $100 and come see me, and I'll print all that on Findlay's dime, and it costs you nothing. Then take the information and shop it. I tell people all the time, I know that you're going to go find out if what I told you is correct. I know you're going to go talk to someone else. So let me give you what I can give you first, and then go ask someone.
Yeah, that's a great service to offer, really. Do you get most of your business directly from the service drive, or is it people you reached out to?
About a third. Like I said, we get a third organically on the dealership. Some people come in, they didn't call ahead of time, or maybe they did call and get one of our operators in the internet department, and they make an appointment to come in, but that way it comes in. The service drive is really my bread and butter. That's where I get the very best of everything I possibly can hope for. And then we have the Kelley Blue Book ICO leads. Those come through. And I fight for all of them just the same. But realistically, the service drive is where I get the very best fruits of my labor.
Yeah. And how many used cars is Findlay carrying these days?
I believe we have 135 in inventory right now at our store. But if you go on to our website for our group, I believe there's over 4,000.
A lot of cars. You're buying 20 doesn't seem that impressive now.
It does not. Anthony's got to step it up.
Anthony's got to step it up. So, what do you do when you're not buying cars? What do you do with the free time?
So
all the free time you have
on Sunday.
And football season's over.
My stuff has changed a lot. I used to try and go fishing as much as I could. I'd go shooting, do a lot of that kind of stuff. Now it's more related to family time right now. I have an aging mother, and she needs a little bit more attention than she used to. I have that going. Of my 3 step kids here in town, they have 7 grandkids, or they have 7 kids, so 7 grandkids. So there's always something going on with one of them.
Your time is no longer your own.
Yeah, it's not.
Where do you find time for your dogs?
So my dogs, they barbecue with me. I turn the stereo up really loud. I open a couple of beers. I get the barbecue going, and everyone stays away and leaves me alone during that time. That's anywhere depending what we're making, an hour to 4 hours of time. So it's a little sanity time,
Yeah. You decide to make some slow cooking food just so you have a little extra time.
The grill has gone with nothing.
They're like, another brisket, John? Another brisket?
The grill has nothing on it sometimes. No one does.
It's literally just a radio.
Yeah. No one does.
That's hilarious. So, John, I know you were not pumped on having to come down here and talk to us, but I'm glad you did. There's always a lot of change in the car business, and I think we thought we all had it figured out until COVID hit, and then it threw the market, the process, the buyers, the money, everything just went out of whack, and it's kind of settling in now. So I'm glad you got a chance to come down and kind of spell out the current state of used cars. So
I'll tell you something you touched on there with COVID. So during that time, I was still on the sales floor. I'd come out of service in the end of 19, right at the beginning of COVID. And it was difficult at best because I have a pretty decent sized clientele list of people I deal with on a regular basis. And I had a hard time telling them, I'll help you get what you want, but there's market adjustments. There's shortages. There's vehicles that are only partially completed. I can sell to you, but we can't deliver it till we get the parts.
Right.
Whatever. And I really kind of cringed during that time, you know?
Yeah.
And,
I think a lot of people misunderstand that really was a very, very basic supply and demand problem. You literally couldn't get parts for some of these things. My truck came without one of the buttons. It just has a dead button on it,
I remember
Yeah, I never got it put in, by the way.
Full OT on the next one.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up on my appraisal when you do the appraisal on it. Say, I didn't even get a button on this one.
I'll find the button for you.
Yeah. But that was a really weird time, especially for us guys who had long-term customers, and you go, hey, I'm sorry, this truck's $20,000 more than it was 12 months ago. And it was a real tough time.
The only bright
in the
side of that
business.
conversation was no matter where they went, it was the same everywhere.
Oh,
it wasn't just us.
It was worse in a lot of places. We're a little relatively small town dealer. And, you would have, I remember people be like, oh, I'll just go find one. And I don't know if you recall, people were finding things that were in transit and they were paying for them before they ever even showed up to dealerships.
And a tremendous amount more than retail.
And a tremendous amount more, depending on what it was. Nobody wanted to buy anything that was crappy back then somehow.
This job I'm doing now would have been great at that time because we paid a lot more for used cars.
Yeah.
I would have been a hero.
Well, and the things didn't catch up to one another. You had the retail market got ahead of the resale market. And we talked about it with Gibby because we had some customers early on who bought trucks and then sold them for more than they paid for them. And we were like, really? Like, we were hearing about it, but we weren't really seeing it. And then we started seeing it. And, we would go to the auction. Another great example of why we are willing to buy cars. We would go to the auction and buy inventory and pay more for used ones than they would cost us to get new. And it just completely warped the market. And so what we're seeing now is really somewhat of a relatively return to sanity. It was absolutely bonkers for a while there.
We're back to a point where interest rates are back where they should be for the most part. There's rebates and discounts and incentives. The new car market pretty much is healed.
Right.
I mean, it didn't take as long as some people thought.
You know how I know it's back?
Because you're back to ordering cars?
Well, I would be ordering cars, but I start shopping for cars again. I'm like, oh, this truck's got 10 grand off, oh, this one's got what?
Another black truck in your future?
Yeah, definitely. I just don't know if it's a real wise idea because I'm sending Benjamin away and I want to be able to go see him as much as possible. I don't know if I want to up the old car world.
Have you given that a lot of thought? All those extra flight miles you're going to have and stuff?
You know what my dumb ass doesn't do is I don't do any flight. I refuse to sign up for anything. I'm sure you know that. Like, I refuse to use any of these. I'm not giving anyone any more of my data than I have to. Like, it's one of my weird things.
Put on a credit card.
Yeah, I won't sign up. I have one credit card.
You get points on?
I do get some points, but it's not like an airline card or
You know
nothing.
what we have for you then? We have the GM rewards card right there at the
I actually have a GM card.
Well,
I don't know where it is. I lost it.
it
I refuse to use it. So
we have a guy at the store named Mike Costa that can help you out with that.
yeah. Well, how funny,
You
Costa.
can use those points to buy a new truck.
I want to know what I was doing wrong. That my two best guys, neither of them are selling cars anymore. When I was on the desk, I was, hey, Costa, I need this. Hey, John, I need this. And now neither of you are selling cars anymore.
Well, Mike settled into a job that's absolutely perfect for him. I don't know whose idea, whether it was his or someone else's, but he fit a niche that I don't think anyone in Mojave County does.
Oh, probably not. Based on all the reports, we are the top performing dealer in terms of after sale service and follow up. And
did you put that video together with him getting his award?
I did not. I think Jeff did or someone did. And but yeah, he got an award for
it was a big deal. There was somebody from upper level OnStar and General Motors that came down to present him the award.
Yeah.
And
if people don't know,
never happened around here before.
Buying a car has changed. It's not just, hey, here's a payment. Yes, no, maybe, sign up, take it, whatever. These are basically giant smartphones with motors. And so there's options for signing up for things, satellite radios, OnStar telematics, rewards programs. What else am I missing?
So through the
You don't have to give any blood.
infotainment system, they pretty much have everything that your phone has in there. You can manage your calendar, your schedule, all your phone calls, your emails, text messages, everything right through your truck.
Yeah. So after you purchase a vehicle, Mike Cost will sign you up and go through all that stuff. And one of the things that people are most irritated about when all this technology rolled out is they didn't know how to use the radios. Did you know that? That was what most of our customer complaints were.
I was one of those people.
I still don't use my Apple CarPlay.
I'll tell you,
my son had to show me how to use it. And he doesn't work at a car dealership.
There's several people that come in and there's no CD player in here. No, there hasn't been a CD player for 15 years. Yeah.
I got a stack of DVDs and PlayStation games underneath my little whatever that holds, it doesn't hold my TV. My TV's on the wall, but like whatever that thing is. And for some reason, I can't get rid of them. I don't have a heart. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but.
There'll be coasters one day.
Yeah.
While you're watching Benjamin play.
Ancient history. Some person will dig up my house and find my DVD collection.
Well, then we'll know who you really.
All right, Johnny.
All right.
I'll let you get back to work. I apologize for keeping you so long. And I know you were super pumped to come on here and talk to us. So
I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
How's that?
Well, I'll tell you what, this was your warm up.
Oh, there's another one.
We'll come back and do it again sometime. And
well, we're gonna have to have some better topics.
What we need to do is go eat lunch first, then we'll both be in better moods.
What are we doing? I haven't eaten yet. Let's go.
Most of our best meetings have come from Carl's Jr. So
the Carl's Jr. menu is hard to beat.
Yeah, it's hard to beat.
If you don't know what the Big Carl is, you gotta know.
It's one of my favorite fast food. So, all right, guys. Thanks, John.
Favorite.